Welcome back to Slop Live, where I bitch about things unscripted. I really wanted to talk about this situation, but I didn't want to do it on my main channel, so I'm doing it here. If you're not familiar with the Fantano and Halsey situation, let me just catch you up to speed real quick. Years ago now, Fantano made a review on The Great Impersonator by Halsey, where he acted very insensitive to certain aspects of the album, and didn't criticize it with the proper care it deserves to be criticized. Fantano has never been a stranger to bad reviews, but the one thing I can always give him is that you can understand where he was coming from with those bad reviews. Like, yes, I've disagreed with him on multiple different albums, but that doesn't necessarily mean the review is bad, just means we disagree. But here, it feels way more personal. I have no personal connection with this album because personally, I haven't heard it. I have no interest in it. The most I've heard from Halsey was her collaborations with Juice WRLD, which were really damn great. But what I feel like a review should do is either convince me that I should listen to it or show me reasons on why I should avoid it. But I feel like Fantano failed on both aspects. This review feels like a lower tier Pitchfork review, and that's my issue with it. By the end of the review, while I got a good idea why he was displeased with the album, I didn't really get a good idea on why exactly, outside of just a couple lyrics being a little cringy. And that's not even mentioning the fact that a lot of the things he said in this review feels very insensitive to Halsey and what she was going through. Fucking Unreviewable One felt more earnest in this review. And that's kind of my issue. Why are you giving the same energy to an anti-Semite, to a cancer survivor, who legit didn't do anything wrong outside of maybe her album sounded very egotistical? And that's not even me trying to dismiss his opinion. If he genuinely didn't like the album, that's completely fine. But he's a critic. That is his job. If he misrepresents an album, he risks that tainting its legacy. And at first, I thought he realized this because he didn't really talk about it after the review. Like, it got a lot of backlash, more so than any other album he's reviewed, I would say. But he just kind of ignored it long enough till it eventually went away. He didn't even include it in his worst album of the year list, which I kind of assumed that he didn't agree with it anymore. Of course, hardcore Halsey fans never got over it, but if this was legit it, I feel like this wouldn't be that big of a deal. But then a tweet came out of his recent pop ratings starting the debate again, only this time Fantano actually responded. Now, I gotta say this, I am way more of a Fantano fan than I am a Halsey fan. Again, I've only heard features from her, and I have been following Fantano's stuff for a really long time, so I'm saying this as a personal fan of his work. He made himself look like such a bitch during all this, man. I'm sorry. You cannot hide out for 2 years pretending like the backlash didn't exist and then all of a sudden decide to address it now, and then act all high and mighty when people are mad at you for it. I didn't get super into a lot of the album's themes, mainly because I haven't heard the album myself, but from what I've read, a lot of the album deals with very heavy topics that should be treated with the utmost respect. Like, even if you find the lyrics talking about her cancer to be kind of corny with the way it's written, fine, I guess, but treat it with the respect it deserves, you know? And I know many people have beaten this argument to the ground at this point, but the idea of main character syndrome in a solo album is fucking stupid. Does Kendrick have main character syndrome? Does Olivia Rodrigo have main character syndrome? Does Tyler, the Creator, have main character syndrome? Is there any other people I should know who have main character syndrome? It's a solo album talking about the artist's personal feelings. How is that main character syndrome? Part of the reason why we listen to music is to hear artists speak their mind. And yeah, you could criticize the art of that, but don't criticize the situation, you know? Like, damn, Halsey, you really got cancer? Damn. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I know this is something he can acknowledge because he has done it for multiple albums. I love that new Olivia Rodrigo album. He clearly does too. A lot of that album talks about Olivia's own personal experiences with relationships and the struggles with that. Does she have main character syndrome because the entire album is talking about her and how egotistical she is? No, she's just talking about her feelings. And that's kind of why the whole main character syndrome argument bothers me so much, because that's just music. The whole point of music is self-expression, and if you're not expressing yourself while making music, what is the point of you making music? That doesn't necessarily mean you can't critique music. And Fantano has successfully done this in the past, where he made fun of 17, but also acknowledged he wasn't really making fun of what X went through, he's making fun of the music.
Please remember, I am not reviewing X as a person, I am reviewing this album. My thoughts on this record have nothing to do with the events that inspired these songs, or whether or not X is truly a troubled person. I have no doubt that he is. My question is whether or not he manifests these feelings and events into quality verses, instrumentals, songs, and performances. And in my opinion, no.
So where was that same sincerity when it came to Halsey? And look, I don't want to call Fantano a sexist, but I do think I want to call him a hypocrite. Because why do you have so much sympathy for Chaperone for a lot of the shit that gets thrown at her for no reason? But for something as dramatic as Halsey, you treat it like a fucking joke. And I'm telling you right now, you do not look tough making all these smart ass comments online. Because you literally waited a year and a half to only then clap back with the same shit. And I don't even necessarily think some of the stuff he's saying is wrong about how a lot of the conversation became more about the review than the album itself. At the very least, if you look at an album of the year's discussion tab, it's definitely become the case. But I can't really blame them for being mad when you screwed up this bad. And I just have to bring up this tweet because it's so fucking stupid. Hey, aren't you that white guy who said nigga once? Why did he think this was a good idea? Why did you think it was a good idea to bring back a tweet from 2020 to prove your point? A tweet that, mind you, was clearly a fucking joke! And the funniest part was, all this did was bring back old clips of him saying the N-word. And personally, as a black guy, I don't personally care. This was years ago, and he clearly doesn't do it anymore. Ed has previously addressed this before. My ancestors aren't gonna freak out because the internet's busiest music nerd said nigga once. But like, don't throw stones in a glass house, you know what I'm saying? Halsey did respond to the whole situation, and I honestly think she's the only person I relatively feel bad for. Again, I feel like a lot of the fans are taking it to such an extreme level, but also I feel like it's Fantano's fault for it being taken to such an extreme. I honestly think she had a very justifiably angry response at this. Like, genuinely think about this. She's been building up this anger for years and has, from my knowledge, never said anything about it before, and only now she's speaking up about how she truly feels about it because he decides to bring it up years later. She is not someone who cannot take criticism. She is someone who does not want to be disvalued. Fantano is a nigga who cannot take criticism, which is ironic because that's the exact same shit he was complaining about with other artists. But that's the end of the story right now. I wanted to rant about this mainly because it's a story that I've been following for a while. And I'm kind of baffled that Fantano responded the way he did. I got a Twitter now in case you want to follow me there. No pressure though. You can also follow me on Blue Sky where I do nothing. If you like what I do here, check out what I do in the main channel where I talk less about drama and stuff like that, more about the music itself. And of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that other jazz. Let me know if The Great Impersonator is actually a good album. I'm actually really interested to check it out now after this whole thing